Welcome to the Power Couples podcast with Kamogelo and Tanama, a platform where we tackle all things relationship from intimacy, communication, and unity in marriage.
Welcome back to yet another episode of Power Couple Podcast. Welcome, everybody. How are you, baby?
I'm great, my angel. How are you doing?
I am fantastic. I love the weather today.
I'm loving it too. It's nice and cool. It's just a beautiful day.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get right into the topic. So today we are going to draw a distinction between how we as millennials do marriage versus how our parents did marriage. So basically, millennial marriages versus old school marriages. What are some of the good things we can take from them and the not so good things that we should learn not to do?
Yeah, and before we get into it, just as a quick disclaimer, guys, I literally just found out 3 weeks ago that I am also a millennial. Wow. You know, that changed my life forever. Honestly speaking, and thanks to Google, I honestly thought millennials were 2000s. But hey, apparently here I am, fully fledged millennial.
Welcome.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Welcome.
It's good to be here. All right, let's get into it, guys. So, as my wife said, we're just drawing a distinction between how we do marriage versus how the old school did marriage. And I think the first thing for me, which is actually a good thing that the old school or our parents did, they did not conform to societal pressures, especially when it comes to the wedding itself. You know, and I mean, I'll use my parents as an example. Way back in the days, my father just paid lobola and they went to the magistrate's office and they signed and they were married, you know, and only years later when they felt they were ready financially, I think I was about 15 at the time, they had the white wedding, you know. And I think we tend to put ourselves under pressure. We want microwave weddings, if I can call it that. And sometimes we're not ready financially, and you find a lot of young people being in debt, paying for weddings that they were never ready for.
Yeah, but also I think there is the negative aspect of it because some of our parents, when they get lobolad, they have kids and life goes on, and then
they stay lobolad.
Yeah, they stay lobolad. Like, guys, no. And then that's when you watch is it Our Perfect Wedding? People get married like when they're in their 50s. So I don't know. It can be a good or bad thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's imperative that we need to get a balance. And the other point linked to this is, I think as I would say as Africans or South Africans, we are a bit caught between two cultures. You know, this whole notion of a Western wedding or white wedding versus a traditional wedding. You know, and my view is, if you've got the funds for it, go for both if that's what tickles your fancy. But I mean, I think at times we sort of want to appease both worlds, you know, at our own expense.
I'm glad that we didn't have a traditional wedding. I think maybe because our budget didn't allow it. I mean, we had to be real. You need to be realistic, guys. If you can afford it, then do it. But if you can't, hey, just select one thing.
And I think from our side, honestly, looking at it in hindsight, I think had we waited, i.e. gotten blessed and got married or had the wedding at a later stage, we could have actually had the wedding of our dreams.
Yeah,
you know, so we put ourselves under unnecessary pressure to do everything at one go. You know, and I mean, we've got friends that actually opted for a blessing and got married later, and they did what they wanted to do.
Okay, moving right along. Old school. Our old school parents don't display not physical, but affection, whether in public in front of us. I don't know if they do show affection in their bedroom, but in front of us, that was not displayed. And that's something that I realized, because with us, I mean, we touch each other, we kiss each other in public, we could just go all crazy in public. But with our parents, they never really showed affection, touching each other, hugging each other, you know, random kisses now and then. I don't know. Something that I've noticed with my parents. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I must say that's one thing that we do quite well as the millennials.
Yeah.
And but I think I shared this with you the other day. I was so encouraged. There's this couple at church. Obviously, I won't mention their names, and they're quite an elderly couple. I think they're in their late 50s, and I literally watched them showing or displaying affection
Oh,
publicly while
yeah.
while in church, and the husband was just hugging the wife, and she
Mm.
was leaning
Ish.
on his shoulder,
That
and
was
I was like, you know
beautiful
what,
to watch.
this is beautiful, and that's what we need. And I think, yeah, we've cracked that as the new school. Sometimes we tend to go a bit overboard, but hey, and I think it's also important to show our children, that mommy and
Yes.
daddy love each other, and this is
And
what we
this
do,
is
man.
how
This
they
is us.
show. This
Yeah,
is how they show affection for each other. And this is how they show their love towards each other.
true, true.
Wow. And another thing that I've noticed is our parents don't well, my parents did not use puppy names like babe, pumpkin, honey. They called each other by their roles. It was more of, maro mamang,
Yeah, yeah.
maro talama, maro kamu.
Yeah, that's definitely. I mean, I wouldn't want you to call me that, but I think as well, just to have a bit of a different view on it,
Mm-hmm.
is in as much as it might not seem or it might not be
Romantic.
appealing for
Mm-hmm.
us,
Mm-hmm.
but perhaps for them in their generation, it was like a way to affirm their social status, because having kids was a big thing then, and
Yes.
maybe it was a man's pride to be called Papa o Mamang, or a woman's pride to be called Mao Mamang, because it sort of affirms the fact that I am a woman, I have children, So perhaps for them, and maybe we should have them one day, just to
Yeah.
understand if that's actually something that was appealing for them or that is appealing.
But I don't want to be called Makumamang. I just think that you lose the romantic aspect of it. I want to be called babe. The same way before kids came into the picture, you call me what? Like I wonder what they used to call each other before kids. I think that's the question that we should ask them. Like, did you call your person babe? And
Yeah.
if that changed, then why? Like I feel that you should continue calling each other by those
Just a
names.
quick question. So, were you prophesying when you called me daddy before kids?
Okay, moving right along, folks. I just lost my train.
Well, it's just a question. I mean, yeah, but anyways, that's fine. You don't have to answer that now.
Wow, trust you to say that.
Gender roles. Yeah. So, yeah. So I think the other thing is,
Sorry.
okay. Let's be serious.
Okay.
I'm joking, man. Okay, so I think the other thing is gender roles. We, as millennials, don't really have gender specific roles, i.e., where we're quite specific in terms of this is what a husband does, this is what a wife does. And I think that the reason really for the blurring of the lines is the fact that, I mean, back in the days, men were the sole providers or they were breadwinners. And now, fast forward to what we've got now, where both men and women are working. So I think that sort of blurred the roles in terms of us actually having that distinct approach.
To be honest, I don't like the term gender roles. I just think that when you are with someone that you love, someone that you are in it for the long term, um, I think we are helping each other. I think we're helping each other get to a certain goal. So if, say, we want to build a house one day, then we obviously, discuss how we're gonna get there together. So there's no, hey, when a wife you'll do this, and when a husband you'll do this, and this is how we're going to blend this. Like I feel like let's just help each other. Same goes for the things that we do in the house. I mean, if you see that I'm overwhelmed, help me with the dishes. Help like this. For me, gender roles honestly shouldn't exist. I think let's just help each other get to a certain goal. That's what I think. But anyways,
And the other part is open communication. I think you should take this on because you're the communicator in this marriage.
yeah, I am emotionally inclined with myself. I think if I have an issue that needs to be addressed, I tell my husband, I'm quite transparent with my emotions, and I tell him how I feel. And this is something that I noticed with my parents. If they have issues, they never addressed it. It's always swept under the carpet, and let's just move on. There's a saying in Sepedi saying hore, musadi o tshwara thipa ka bogale. I don't know if maybe that's our parents, thing, to just brush things or sweep everything underneath the carpet and not show emotion and not go through emotions. But it's something that I saw them struggling with.
Yeah, and I think the thing that sort of deters that open communication
Yeah.
is, and it's interesting enough, we covered it in one of our former episodes, is emotional transparency as well. I think the old school didn't sort of link their action to how it makes them feel, i.e.,
Yeah.
communicating to your spouse to say, you know what, when you did this, this is how it made me feel.
Yeah.
Because it's important to have that causal link. And I think that's something that we do quite well as the new school. And I think the other thing was, again, around a deterrent to communication is around the husband sort of having the final say. Like we if I've said it, that's it. Regardless of how you feel about it, this is it. I mean, I've made my decision. So I think, that's definitely something that we should learn not to do, and not to carry into our marriages.
Absolutely.
And the last point, we left this one for last. I think here the old school really knocks it out the park in living out this vow, till death do us part. I honestly feel like the older generation have more staying power. And one thing that I've noticed is that they would often sometimes even give up on their marriage but stay in the marriage. Whereas I think, and I'm not saying it's a good thing to give up, it's actually the staying power that I'm more leaning towards. Whereas I think the new generation is more inclined to give up very quick, and we take offense even on the smallest issues, and one strike, I'm out, and I think that's something that we really need to work on and understand. What did we actually mean when we said till death do us part? Is arguments death? Is infidelity death? What is death?
No, I totally agree. But it's a bit tough. And as I said earlier, I said, re tshwara thipa ka bogale. Would you rather just stick in there and just there's no romantic aspect of it. I mean, I personally I saw how with my parents they were so detached from each other. There was no communication. The love was gone. But why would you want to stay?
So hence I'm saying that I'm leaning more towards the staying power as opposed to giving up, because there's a difference between just enduring your marriage for the sake of it. So I think definitely that's one area that they could have done well, i.e., let's fix what's broken. But definitely what I do applaud them for is they don't throw it away.
True.
It's broken. Yes, they might not fix it, but they don't throw it away.
True.
Whereas we don't even, I mean, if it's broken, we don't fix it, and we don't. And when I say we, I'm just referring to the new generation, because I mean, even if you look at the divorce stats, and I mean, I don't have the statistical figures, but I'm sure if you were to draw a comparative analysis between current divorce rates versus in perhaps the 90s, you'd find a distinct difference, and even if perhaps you look at age splits in terms of divorce stats, I honestly think, and it's a personal opinion, that the older generations are less inclined to give up on their marriage versus or to separate versus the new generation.
True. Okay. So that's us for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I know it's a Saturday, but do tune in. You're going to love this episode. All right. And then we'll see you guys next week, Friday.
And before we go, I've just got one request. Can you just call me Daddy?
Daddy.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, bye.